I feel like everybody did not take the time out to fully go watch the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Melinda J, and I'm here to do a reaction. And I guess I'll leave my little 2 cents with this episode that Cam Newton had appeared on let's see, the podcast name is $1 million Worth of Game, and it's episode 161. Okay. And of course, everyone came across this viral clip of him mentioning, not mentioning, with him mentioning that he don't like IG models and the boss chick mentality, as well as he is looking for a woman if he hasn't already have one. But if he does not have one, he is looking for a lady that not only handles her own, but also know when to cater her man and fulfill the wifely duties. Of course, the whole and just that one clip of him describing the boss chick mentality, as well as stating how he would like his woman if he doesn't have it already. It went everywhere. It caused a hoorah and uproar of people giving their 2 cents. Of course, rightfully so, because once it's out in the public, it's due for public opinion. However, um, I feel like everybody did not take the time out to fully go watch the episode. So, if you have not fully watched the episode in its entirety, I highly advise you all to go and do so. That way you can gain the full context of why he said what he said. Okay. And the topics that they were talking about, so I can give it to y'all, and then of course y'all can just go over to that podcast and listen to it. So the topics that they were talking about was his upbringing and why he thinks the way he thinks and why he is the way he is. So yes, they talked about his upbringing, about staying humble, and meaning no more goofy energy, giving the wrong people the platform to not be held accountable on, as well as being hard is lame, relating to the consequences of becoming a hard individual out there in the streets, as well as raising your kids, meaning don't let technology raise your child, in regards to reducing the screen time, as well as having a therapeutic mind, meaning staying inspired instead of being in trouble, in regards to staying the course on your path of achieving your goals and living your purpose, as well as they talked about the value of money and that you don't need fame to be rich. You could be rich within yourself and not have the fame. You could be rich within your community. You could be rich within your state. You don't have to be rich worldwide. You know what I mean? And also, Superman arrived topic. This is when the host had asked Cam, when did you notice that you were the ish? You know what I'm saying? And he gave them the answer in regards to when he was in JUCO community college, and how it stays prevalent today in regards to kids feel they feel discouraged when they not accepted to the 4-year university that they want to go to, and sometimes they have to fall back on JUCO, and not to sleep on JUCO, so to speak. And I will talk about that in a later video. But I'm glad that he recognized the importance of JUCO college and what can you learn from just being there. And then they also talk about his New Year's resolution about not wearing no more high fashion, because due to the status that he is in as a professional athlete, that when he was going into those spaces like fashion shows, because he is a fashion forward type of guy. And fun fact, he did have a fashion line in the men's department, to be exact, when it came to the tuxedos and the vests and the ties and the handkerchiefs and stuff like that. I don't know if he still has it, but I feel like he needs to go ahead and relaunch that again, especially due to the fact that it is a market out there for the men and the boys, because they like to dress up as well. But it gave the affordability for people that want to dress well and not pay an arm and a leg to look good, so to speak. And then they also talked about the respect in the league, and they asked about Cam's favorites when it comes to the field, and he gave his input about that. And also, to wrap it up, that the content that people put out, it has its effects. And because, whether you know it or not, as long as you have a social media, as long as you have a social media platform in whatever choosing platform that you choose from, you have a voice and you have a platform, whether you big or small, and you have the influence to influence others. So it's best to be careful what you put out there, because that's giving other people permission to follow suit, and hopefully they get the same effects when really it is not the case. Okay, so on to the meat and potatoes of the reaction of the small clip that was blasted out into the airways for everybody to consume and give their little 2 cents about. To give context of behind his remarks, saying that he is looking for a woman to not only handle her own, but cater to a man's needs. Meaning by, on the flip side, on the flip side, there is the boss chick mentality / IG models, where majority of the women that's in that boss chick mentality, scamming type of thing, as well as a woman who is independent in every way. Okay, 9 times out of 10, they can't cook, they can't clean. You have quite a few of the boss chicks that can cook and clean, but majority of them don't. Okay. And then he also mentioned that the women in that mentality don't know when to be quiet, meaning by there is a time and a place to state your opinion or suggestion, and there's no need to be nagging all the freaking time. Okay, because don't nobody want to tolerate all that nagging in their ear all the time. Sometimes it's just best to be quiet, especially when he is expressing, or your partner is expressing how they're feeling. It's best to listen. Not only listen, but active listening, paying attention of the body signals, the tone that he or she is using at the present time, as well as soaking it up, processing, thinking about it, and then present your response. Okay, it doesn't always have to be a fighting sensation. And also, in regard to knowing to be quiet, that also follows into the submission form, and it also coexist with letting a man lead, and that the sucker-ish is not needed, meaning that you don't have to simp for every little thing. Okay, I feel like there's a time and a place to simp. You don't have to simp all the time, but it's good that you have a balance. Everybody, it's good to have a balance in regards to your divine feminine and your divine feminine. It's good to have a balance between logic and emotions, okay? Because if one teeters up, like if the emotions there's more emotions there than logic, then you're not thinking clearly, because you're thinking by impulsion. You're going by your heart. You're not being logical about the situation. And if you're thinking too logical about it, you're going to have some sense of arrogancy in the midst of that. So with that being said, he also talked about his restaurant. He is about to open up a restaurant if it's not open already. And that is going to be a part of his legacy for one of his children. And that's another thing he talked about, building the legacy, because football can only go so far. Sports can only go so far. That's why when you're in that element now, you need to go ahead and establish yourself, not only as an individual, but if you have family, establish yourself enough that you can be able to leave a legacy behind. That is the key. I'm pretty sure that's the key for everybody, to leave something behind, generational wealth. Okay, so yeah, in regards to them, the clip. Okay, so what he basically meant, but just by that snippet of, a woman handling her own and the cooking, the woman needs to be able to cook and clean, as well as knowing to be quiet, and of course letting the man lead. Okay, so background for him. He said that he grew up in an environment of 2-parent household plus and a sage elder, meaning his grandmother. His parents has been married for 36 years. Okay, in this day and age, that is considered your golden years. Why? Because in this day and age, people that are in marriage can't even last within the 2 to 5 year range. Okay, and that's due to the fact that they just automatically give up whenever the honeymoon phase ends. Hence, marriage is a business. Yes, it is a partnership. Yes. However, you have you also have a duty not only to yourself but also the higher power to fulfill those vows when necessary. Okay, so and he also grew up in the church, like most of us have, which requires us to gain the sense of discernment. So he learned discernment at an early age because of the fact that his father was a pastor. I believe he still is to this day. But his parents, as well as his upbringing, was the blueprint for him on how he wants to maintain longevity in his life. Hence, yes, he may have multiple kids by multiple baby mothers. However, now that he is at the state he is at now, which is in his higher self and full awareness of himself, meaning that he doesn't mind being alone. And that's what a lot of people struggle with nowadays, being alone. Because why? Because when you're alone, you have to address the shadow side. You have to address those thoughts that come to your mind. Hence, when people begin to stay in relationships that really don't serve their purpose, it prevents them to do the inner work. Okay, so therefore, that's why that gives you a little context of why he is stating the I'll say requirements, the preference, the suggestions that he would like to see in the woman that he would like to spend the rest of his life with, if he isn't already. And I feel like he's not wrong, so to speak, because let's keep this a band. Okay, majority of people nowadays, they don't know how to cook or clean. Let's get that out there in the forefront. Either they don't know how or just don't want to. And that's your prerogative. That's the person's prerogative on whether they don't want to cook or clean. However, that can be a downfall when it comes to being in a relationship with someone, because of the fact of the matter that the people want to come home to some sense of balance and oasis. And the fact that they're coming home to no home cooked meal at least one time, at least once a week, but not coming home to no home cooked meal, as well as the house being clean and smelling good. I mean, presentation is everything. And he had stated along in this episode that first impressions are everything. And that is true, because I grew up in a stable environment as well. You know, my parents, they've been married for 30 plus years. And then my mother, she loves to work, and she don't mind getting out there working, because that gives not only another stream of income in the house, but also it gives her a little spending money as well that she like to do as her self-care, or, you know, she lends us some money if we ever need some, and that's just by the kindness of her heart. Hence, our father, he's the breadwinner. He's the one that makes the most in the house, and he travels. Nowadays, we're close, but back then I'm a construction. How about this? I'm a construction brat. Okay, we moved just as frequent as military kids, and I'm gonna do a separate video on that. But anyways, while he's out working, she's maintaining the household. Okay, my mother, she's not the type to sit at the house. Either she's gonna do a side business or a hobby, or she's gonna get out there and work. And when rightfully so, that's what she does. And again, it's all about balance in a relationship overall. I think that's what people overlook when he was trying to state his case, is finding the balance within a relationship. Because when you are in a relationship, it is a two-way street. Okay, yes, there is going to be one person that makes more than the other. However, you know, in this day and age, things are changing, and at this point, it's like all hands on deck. Meaning the mother is working, the father is working, the kids of age is working, and, you know, people are making it do what it do. However, it is not the 1950s. I do have to say that, in regards to one person, meaning the man, being able to go out and work and make all the money, be the head breadwinner of the house, to where the lady does not have to work, to where his wife doesn't have to work. In this day and age, with all this inflation and prices going up and stuff, that's not happening nowadays. So I get where he's coming from, and so to speak, in regards to, yes, as you're in a relationship with someone, yes, you do need to hold your own. In other words, what he means, have some sense of self-worth and dignity. Dignity. I see, I said it again. Dignity within yourself. You know, knowing what boundaries, knowing which boundaries to cross and what not to cross. And that's the point of setting that healthy boundaries in the beginning of the relationship. Because if you don't, yes, you and your partner are going to go tit for tat to see which boundaries is going to be the cutoff. And yes, so definitely, I feel like everybody has taken this way out of proportion. And as far as like catering to a man's needs, how about let's cater to each other's needs? I scratch your back, you scratch my back. You know, everything does not have to be on a financial standpoint. Yes, You may be the person that carries on the household in regards to making more money to bring in to cover the expenses and stuff. But how about in regards to taking care of the being and being in partnership with each other, because we are working as a team. We are working as a team. How about we, I'm not going to say cater to each other. How about we spoil each other, so to speak? I'll give you, okay, ladies, you come home, your man is there, more likely he's going to give you a foot rub, okay? As vice versa. When the man comes home and the women, they've been at the house, of course, there either is going to be, more likely is going to be I'm going to put this on my lap, y'all. More likely is going to be a meal on the table, ready for you to eat, so you can relax and unwind. And then, of course, we do need to get back to, making sure the kids get in the bed in enough form, because in the upbringing that I was raised in, the kids be in the bed by 8. So that way, the parents will have time to, catch up on each other and see how their day had went at work, as well as, it's a downtime for the parents after 8, so to speak. And also it's giving the children a healthy sleeping pattern whenever they go to bed on time. So I do feel like when he was stating this, yes, a lot of times nowadays, a lot of women are not going to allow the men to lead. Why? Because one, they don't want to be controlled. They feel like they don't want to be they don't want to be controlled by somebody and making them feel like they're trapped. But you have to keep in mind, when you're in a relationship with somebody, that you don't lose your sense of identity. Because if you do lose your sense of identity and self, then if something happens, God forbid, then and you're left with nothing but yourself, or either yourself and your kids, then you have to start that process right over again. So it's best to, and that's what Cam Newton meant by handling your own, as if you are the same person that he met. Basically, that is definitely what he is saying. Yeah, he is definitely saying, don't lose yourself while you're in a relationship with me. I want you to keep maintaining yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. And you don't have to submerge yourself in every aspect of my life. We can work as a team. All you gotta do is just let me lead and let me take care of you. And definitely while I take care of you in regards to provide a stable living, you just be sure to maintain yourself and your well-being and your mind. So that's what I got from the response for Cam Newton. But as far as like the only pushback that I have, as far as like catering to a man's needs, I would just take that catering word out and be like, okay, how can we communicate amongst each other and in regards to each other's needs, so we can be able to fulfill each other in every aspect, so you won't have to be going out there looking for somebody else to fulfill your needs. So that's the only pushback that I had, as far as like changing that cater word to like, a more subtle word, because cater is that belongs in the hospitality realm, to be honest. But yes, as far as like my background and in my upbringing, yes, I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents have been married 30 plus. And yes, my father is the breadwinner that makes the most money. My mom, she take care of the households, the bills. She cooks, she cleans. And due to the fact that I'm another girl in the household, I take some of those responsibilities as well, as far as like helping to maintain the household, making sure it's clean. And as far as like cooking wise, I'm gonna be honest with y'all right now. The only time that I will cook in my mom's kitchen is if I'm baking something, because baking is my strong suit when it comes to being in the household with my parents. So mom didn't have enough patience to bake unless she was in the mood to bake. But of course with me, my strong suit was baking. So I was the person in the house that provided the sweets, the desserts in the house. So yeah. And then as far as like cooking wise for me, me and my brothers, we did not go in the kitchen frequently, especially when my mom is cooking, because when my mom is cooking, she is in her element. She don't want nobody in there, okay? Nobody in there. But however, we do watch from a distance of what she's putting in her recipes. And that way, whenever we do branch out on our own, in our own kitchens, then if we need some like help on creating a meal or what she used in her meals when we grew up, then we go to the source for the recipe, and then she'll give us the recipe and we'll follow through, put our little 2 cents in it if we wanted to, and then boom, we chef RDs up in this thing. Okay, we go tit for tat on our group chat, in our family group chat, in regards to who cook what sometimes. And and I'm more on the healthy eating side. Of course, I do have my cheat days on what I want to eat, but majority of the time, I do eat healthy, because of the fact of the matter, you know, when my mother was pregnant with me, that's what she was doing. She was healthy eating. On the flip side, on my brother, she was half healthy eating and half, you know, not healthy eating. So I'll do a separate video on that, as far as like, you know, well, most of the time whenever you are in the womb and you're and the mother is going through her process of procreating, bringing life to earth, that plays into that. Some of those traits do play into effect in the child when the child gets out the womb, and that's why the elders used to say, be careful what you're doing while you're pregnant, because that could feed into what plays into your child. Hence, you know, some cultures, they don't even allow pregnant women out until the baby is born, because of the energy that pregnant women are vulnerable to soak up energy in regards to the baby that's being that's cooking in her stomach. Okay, so yeah. Overall, my little 2 cents on on this episode of this podcast that Cam Newton had appeared on, it was good. So yes, I would highly recommend y'all to go back and watch it, because there is some good vital information in there. Because in this day and age, a lot of people have drifted away from traditional values in a relationship, which causes destruction. And I feel like we need to put some of those traditional values back into our relationships, so it could balance out and provide a stable environment for not only ourselves, but also for our children that are coming to this world as well, because that plays into effect on how they approach relationships and how they interact with people in general. So yes, with all being said, Cam Newton, he said what he said. Or as like women need to know when to be quiet. Yes, there is a time and a place for everything for a woman to be quiet. And of course, it's all about that active listening and being able to communicate with each other and letting each other know what is going on with us, so we can be able to adjust to what is to come, whether it's happening in a couple of seconds, a couple months, a couple of years. It's all about communication. Communication is key. That's what the therapist would say. Communication is key. So as long as that is intact, and then you all's relationship is intact and not allowing outside influences, hence aka social media, ruin your relationship, you're all good in the end. Okay, because yes, when it comes to social media, yes, everybody always presents their good and not always their bad on social media. And that's why we need to stop relying, putting people on a pedestal and going and praising their relationship, because you never know what they're going through at that moment. Okay, so yes, with that being said, this was all blown out proportion. Yes, Cam Newton is right that as a lady, we do need to hold our own in regards to our upkeeping our self-care, loving ourselves, knowing our self-worth, having some dignity in the end, and of course, being able to not cater to your man, being able to communicate, being able to communicate enough to your partner on what they need and what you can do to fulfill that need. Okay, and then also when it comes to the can't cook, can't clean, there's cooking classes out there. There's always room to go ahead and cook. And a little tidbit, I told this to my brother. I said, if guys really want to figure out if a woman cooks or not, they could take them out to a cooking class and see how they would react and how they will follow instruction by another individual in the kitchen. That'll give you a little idea of how she will apply herself in the kitchen. Okay, that's just my little tidbit. Okay, for all the people out there that want to go out on a date, take the person out in the cooking class and see how they maneuver around in the kitchen. Are they willing to learn, or they just want to be like, I don't want to do it. I'm not a cooker. It's all about, are you willing to learn though? Because that's what cooking is all about. Learning, and then also putting your little spice into it. Okay, and then as far as like submitting, of course there's a time and a place to submit. Okay, if the person is giving what needs to be, if the person is given what needs to be given at that moment, then of course that is, they're looking for a reciprocated response in return. Okay, that's giving and receiving one-on-one. And that's what a lot of people need to realize whenever they in a relationship, is knowing the giving and receiving universal law one-on-one. Okay, you can't keep pouring into a cup, and you can't be pouring into one's cup and then the other one not following through. Okay, that doesn't make any sense at all. So we gotta have to be able to pour into each other's cup. Hence, when you get married, they have either the candle or like some chalice glass, and you see the couple pouring their cup into one. Because why? We're going to be combined into one, and it takes pouring into each other's cup, supporting each other along the way to be able to have a healthy relationship in the long run. Okay, so that's all I have. Oh yeah, and lastly, as far as like letting a man lead, if the man is capable and able to lead the relationship, as far as like providing you a stable living and a stable environment, go ahead and let them do so. Just don't lose yourself in the process. Same goes around with the women. If you as a woman are the breadwinner in the household. And shoot, if you are the woman or the is the breadwinner of the household, of course, I mean, some men would allow the women to lead. However, it's as long as he is able to provide that protection for you in the household, that's all that matters. Because in the end, as a woman myself, I look for a guy that is going to be able to provide that stable living for me and my child, as well as, of course, I carry my own, and I don't mind a man leading a household. Okay, as long as he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and pouring into the cup, I'm going to pour in the cup as well. Okay. So yeah, that's all that I have for you guys. Please like the video if you like what I have presented already, and please excuse the voice, y'all, because I had just recovered from the pollen allergy effect type of thing. It's amazing how I stayed in the house for so long, and then once I get out, boom, I got caught with it. Okay, so it's not the okay, it's still allergy season, all right, with all the heavy pollen that has been dropped upon us this year. So I'm at the final stage when I lose my voice or some of it. And no shade, no tea, but I do like this voice because it gives the sultry vibe. You know what I'm saying? Hey. But other than that, yes, go ahead and like the video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you to all who have subscribed so far to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it so much. Okay, and I am just celebrating every milestone along the way. Hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already, so you can be notified on the next time I upload a video. Please follow me on all social media platforms. It will either be in the description box below or in the end screen at the end of this video. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. And again, y'all, if y'all see a clip of a podcast or on any platform and it is shaking your feathers a little bit, just check out the original, content, and then you'll have some content at the end. Okay, it'll bring it all together, so to speak. All right. So again, I'm rambling again, and I need to get up off this thing. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video. Always remember to love thyself, know thyself, soothe thyself, so you can heal thyself. Bye, you guys.